The United States accusing the current commander-in-chief on the eve of the presidential declaration about the way forward against the enemy of treason. Joining us tonight, retired U.S. Army Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, who served as Chief of Staff to Secretary of State Colin Powell and is currently the Pamela Harriman Visiting Professor at the College of William and Mary. Thank you for your time tonight, Colonel.
Thanks for having me, Keith.
Can you think of anyone in our history who served as high as Mr. Cheney did in a U.S. administration accusing a sitting president of the legal definition of treason on the eve of a wartime speech to the American people and the troops and the allies and the enemies?
I think it would be difficult to find such an example in our history. I don't recognize this man anymore.
Do you think that the U.S. or UN forces should have moved into Baghdad?
No.
He's not the man that I knew who was Colin Powell's boss when he was Secretary of Defense. He's a mystery to me.
Once you got to Iraq and took it over and took down Saddam Hussein's government, then what are you going to put in its place?
Mr. Cheney was also asked whether his administration bears any responsibility for the current status of Afghanistan as a nation or as a problem today, and he replied, I basically don't. You were part of that administration. Do you basically don't as well?
Not at all. I saw Vice President Cheney, former Vice President Cheney's remarks as sort of being like Macbeth accusing the king of getting in the way of his lady's dagger. This is incredible that an administration that took its eye off as early as November 2001, Afghanistan, turned it into an economy of forced theater, told General Franks to concentrate on planning for Iraq.
It's a quagmire if you go that far and try to take over Iraq.
And then began shifting troops and other assets that were husbanded at best already towards Iraq. It would now be accusing a president who inherited the mess they created of malfeasance in office. This is laughable, Keith.
You have said in the past that it was, quote, pretty well confirmed.
No, I never said that.
Okay.
I never
think
said
that is...
No, it's absolutely not. What I said was the Czech intelligence service reported after 9/11 that Atta had been in Prague on April 9th of 2001 where he allegedly met with an Iraqi intelligence official. We have never been able to confirm that, nor have we been able to knock it down. It's been pretty well confirmed that he did go to Prague and he did meet with a senior official of the Iraqi intelligence service in Czechoslovakia last April.
You say you don't recognize him anymore. There was another thing in the interview that's a little bit off the main beaten path of the topic here, but he said that he believes Mr. Obama does not believe that the United States is special, quote, the greatest, freest nation mankind has ever known, and yet at the same time he's arguing, Mr. Cheney is, for secret prisons and for torture. Do you have a sense of what Mr. Cheney thinks makes America great and particularly free? I mean, is this just sort of knee-jerk nationalism, or does he even still get what America means and that the ideas of torture and freedom are pretty much mutually exclusive?
Well, you've hit the heart of the matter here. The power that we wield that is most formidable is the power of our ideas and our ideals lived up to on a day-to-day basis. No one in a long time has done a better job of restoring those ideals and restoring what they mean, rhetorically at least, than President Obama. I'm waiting for him. I'm waiting on tenterhooks for him to put action behind those words, and I'm giving him every benefit of the doubt that he will eventually do that. But I will not brook any opposition from the man who did more to damage those ideals and those ideas than anyone in our history, Dick Cheney.
Then contextualize your reaction to tonight's speech in that context. Did the president take the best option of a bunch of bad ones that were available to him? Could he have chosen a different path? What did you think of the speech?
I'd have to say that what he did was, in my mind, deliberate at some length, listening to all manner of advice from all manner of people. That's good. He didn't pull a .45 from his holster and shoot like the last administration did. I know. I was a member of it. He deliberated, and what he came up with was the least worst of a whole range of very bad possibilities. And that was reflected in the speech. It was very realistic. It was very sober and somber. And I think that was justified given the audience and also given the degree of the challenge that this president and that audience confronts.
And do you think that this tone will be recognized by this country that has been used to, when the subject of war has been brought up in the last two presidential administrations, has really had the flag kind of thrust foremost into their face before any rational, calm, good points, bad points analysis of the situation has been offered to it?
What did Iraq have to do with what? The attack on the World Trade Center. Nothing.
Keith, I think that I continue to believe, as I think the president does, he probably wouldn't put it this low, that at least 75%, maybe 80% of the American people are sane, sober, pragmatic, and realistic. They seek the center, the radical center, if you will. And those people will understand the challenge the president faced and understand the speech he gave and the decision he's made. The proof of the pudding, of course, will be in the next 18 to 24 months. I'm really worried in that regard about the economic situation. The president has a real challenge there that in many ways is a bigger threat than Al-Qaeda or Afghanistan or Iraq or any other potential foreign threat.
Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, formerly Chief of Staff for Secretary of State Powell, now at the College of William and Mary. Always we benefit from your insight. Thank you again for it, sir.
Thanks, Keith.